Thank you, Guy, for the invitation to join you today. I'm Renny Grilz. I'm with Meewasin Valley Authority here in Saskatoon, and I had the pleasure of working with Corvus Centre this past year on actually two different projects, and it was a great experience. Back in the day, I used to work in Alberta with Nature Conservancy of Canada, and I had the pleasure of working with Guy on several different projects and sat on a couple different boards with him as well. So this last year with Meewasin, we're a local conservation authority and also a local land trust in the Saskatoon region. We are actually a sort of a quasi-government organization slash nonprofit that was actually created in legislation to steward the South Saskatchewan River Valley around Saskatoon. And our mandate is sort of three-pronged. We have a conservation focus, we have an education focus, and also a development focus. So if you know Saskatoon, you've been probably on the Meewasin trails around the river valley here in Saskatoon. And so with our unique organizational structure, we have sort of different focuses. This last year, the federal government announced that Saskatoon is one of the potential cities to host a national urban park. And so as part of this project with Parks Canada, we started looking at our conservation tool chest and what tools we have available. And with Meewasin being a land trust, we haven't done much land trust work in about 15 years. So our policies were out of date. Our conservation tool chest was a little bit bare. And so we had to sort of relook at our tools and our policies to see what we have available. And so we worked with Corvus Centre on sort of doing that deep dive at our policies and digging out the dust of some of these 1980s policies and taking a closer look at our conservation tools. And it was a great process working with Guy and his team on doing that deep dive into what the work that Meewasin does and sort of envisioning where Meewasin could go as well with our conservation programming. And so it was a wonderful experience and we really enjoyed it. And it's actually, it has my management team really looking at this, and then my board at Meewasin really looking at what is the potential that we can do as an organization. Also, with being here in Saskatchewan, Corvus, I know is based in Alberta, but there is that lack of conservation policy work here in Saskatchewan. And so having our neighbors to the west, trying and experimenting with some of these different conservation tools and these different policies, and then sharing that knowledge and having it come into Saskatchewan, was very helpful. Here in Saskatchewan, we have very few conservation organizations, very few land trusts. And so sharing that, having that knowledge and that expertise being brought into and to help us was really helpful. I also had the pleasure of working with Corvus with the Saskatchewan watershed, different watershed groups in Saskatchewan. We're going through a restructuring and reorganizational structure amongst all our groups, 9 groups in Saskatchewan, with our mothership organization, the Saskatchewan Association of Watersheds. And so Guy and his team really helped lead those discussions on this restructuring, really help facilitate those discussions and have us work together to develop a future vision that we all agreed upon. When you think about 9 different little entities coming together more formally, coming up with a potential restructuring, and with some of these groups potentially closing shop, it was a really difficult discussion and really difficult thinking that we had to do as individual watershed groups. And Guy was able to have those discussions with all the groups, have everyone was able to participate and share their concerns and their also expectations and their goals. And we were able to come out of 2 different workshops, come out with a shared vision. I was expecting a lot of posturing and fighting amongst the groups and bun fights and people just getting upset. But Corvus really helped us open up our eyes and see how we could make things better for all our groups together. So it was a great experience working with Corvus, and really happy to see Corvus is there, and we're looking forward for some future projects with Corvus in the future, and hopefully continued expansion of programming into Saskatchewan as well. So thanks, Guy.